Welcome to the RSN Tailgate Show here at 10 Tier Bank Studios at the Athletic Performance Factory. I'm Graham Stickhand here with Chris Figg. It's sectional semifinals week here across the state of Indiana. We've got a lot of great games tonight, starting with we got the LaVille Lancers against the North Judson Blue Jays in the Class A 1A sectional. And then after that, in 1A, we also have Bowman Academy versus West Central, the Trojans against the Eagles there. 2A, we're going on to Andrean Wheeler, which will be on the broadcast here. The 8-1 49ers versus the Wheeler Bearcats, who are also 8-1, 3-1 in conference. Andrean undefeated in conference, 6-0. That's going to be a real good game. My game of the week, personally. What do you like? Who do you like in that one?
Yeah, I mean, last year they met in the sectional semifinals as well. Andrean took care of business, won 19-0. I mean, this is a Wheeler Bearcats team that has been consistent on not only being able to throw the ball well, but they're also able to run. They've got a young running back in Levi Murray that's one of the top running backs in the region. And, I mean, their quarterback, again, also is one of the top QBs in the region as well. Yeah, Logan Fox.
And his top target, Tyne Vedical, that's a great connection right there. Levi Murray averaging, 160 yards per game, something like that. Ridiculous stuff.
I mean, he's got over 1,200 yards rushing on the season. And the crazy thing is, I mean, last year I was able to catch him a couple of times. It was his freshman year last year, so he's only a sophomore. I mean, he's still got a lot of time.
Got 2 more years left. D1 school is going to be looking at him. That's
for sure. Yeah.
And Andrean, we have the dual quarterback system going. It's worked out for them pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you see it sometimes at the college game level, too, where you go kind of a dual quarterback system. You know, you've got one guy that can run the ball better. You got one guy that can throw the ball better. And, you know, the real big thing with that is it's just you got to play the hot hand. Whoever's doing the best, you just keep throwing them in. If the dual threat's working more, where running the ball is working, keep the running guy in. If you're able to air it out, keep your passer in.
If a guy is scoring towards the half, you're putting points on the board, you're going to roll with him in the third quarter most likely, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, you've got all the confidence in the world. You've got the momentum going into that third quarter for you especially. So, you know, again, just ride the hot hand with that dual quarterback system. And, I mean, again, it's an Andrean team that is historically one of the better teams in the region, too. I mean, they made it all the way to, I believe it was semi-state last year, lost in semi-state, played Bremen in sectionals, took care of business there. So, I mean, again, I feel like it can be a really close game. They both had kind of a tougher schedule with their sectionals. So, you know, again, anything can happen. It is playoffs.
If you were to predict a score, what are you going with?
So, if I'm thinking it's going to be a closer one than either team is. Wheeler's had a couple close games this year, so I think that's could help them down the stretch. You know, if the game's close, I can see it be a very low-scoring affair, especially with that dual quarterback system, because you know you got to make sure whoever's got the hot hands in, and sometimes neither quarterback has the hot hand, and unfortunately, you do run into that.
Yeah. And then after that game in Class 2A, we got Rensselaer, the Central Bombers against Bremen Braves. That's going to wrap up the 2A schedule, and on to 3A. Calumet versus Mishawaka, and then Griffith versus Knox. Griffith, they have an up and down season. You know, they've had some big wins. They've had some tough losses.
Yeah, I mean, Griffith is, again, one of those teams that every year they're competing in their sectional. I mean, they're a very good team. It's just kind of seeing what's going to happen with it, essentially. So, you know, Again, Griffith can do some really great things with the ball. They had a tough sectional schedule overall. I mean, they took care of business pretty well last week against Bishop Knoll, winning 62-8. Carried that momentum into tonight's game. Defense played a great game. You only allowed 1 score and a 2-point conversion. So, I mean, again, you know, just keep the hot hand hot.
And then they're not going to have the opportunity to play at the Boneyard. They're going to be at Knox, pretty far away. You know, they're not going to be familiar with the environment. That's going to be interesting to watch. And then Class 4A, got the EC Central Cardinals against the Lowell Red Devils in East Chicago. Over Brickies, who've had a good season. I believe they're 6-3 on the year, going against Kankakee Valley, who's had a bit of a rough stretch lately. But and like you said, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is playoffs, you know. And again, you know, Kankakee Valley had a close game last week against Westside, 15-6 final score. Meanwhile, you got Lowell, who played Hanover Central, took care of business, won by
Put up a lot of points.
Yeah, put up a lot of points. I mean, again, Lowell is one of those teams in the region that is traditionally year in, year out one of the top teams in the region.
It's Got a lot of good athletes. It's good culture, really, there at Lowell. Moving on to Class 5A, we have the Munster Mustangs against the Hammond Central Wolves in Hammond. Interesting game. I'm not really sure who I would take in that one. Munster, they beat up on some teams. They've had some tough losses as well. They beat up on Highland pretty good.
Yeah, won the Battle of the Bridge.
Yeah.
And, I mean, first game of the year, they were in it with Lake Central up until towards the end of the third quarter, and Lake Central just ran away with the game. I mean, and again, that was with a different quarterback at Lake Central than who's starting now, but also in the same breath, I mean, this is a Mustangs team that, has had some really great moments. And again, it doesn't always show on the record. Sometimes, you see those losses and you think, okay, it is what it is. But also when you're playing a tough sectional like they do year in and year out.
Munster's always a tough out.
Yeah.
Every year they field a good team. Yeah, I agree. And then Maryville, the Pirates going to Morton to face the Governors. Those are two also good teams. Going to be a good game. That's another game there with Andre and Wheeler that I'm excited to watch. I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I mean, Maryville, I got a chance to watch them a couple times this season and call a couple of their games. And I mean, their offense is one of the few offenses I've seen in high school that run nothing but hurry up. There is no huddle. It is get to the line, have the play call ready. I mean, again, they've had a really dynamic quarterback in Michael Hill Jr. A lot of their big plays have come from moving him around in the pocket, getting him out in space. But also the thing that I like is last year they had two big-time rushers. This year, it's all about passing the ball. And, I mean, Michael Hill's had 2,600 passing yards.
When you have a dual-threat quarterback with that type of running ability, it's hard to stop. And I don't see why they would go away from the no-huddle offense. It's worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, and one of my favorite plays they do is they do a lot. Their second-string running back is actually also their slot receiver as well. So they'll throw him in a lot of jet motion, either do a quick touch pass to him, or they'll fake the motion, hand off to the inside. So they're keeping people on their toes, and that offensive line does a really great job of winning at the point of attack. They like to do a lot of bubble screens, just a lot of movement overall. I mean, it's a team that, again, their offense, when I've seen them, they've been lights out, can run the ball real well, and that sets up the play action later in the game. And, I mean, it helps throw the ball a lot, too, towards the end.
They let Michigan City hang around there for a little bit a couple weeks ago, but they eventually, shut the door on them. Another big win. I'm going to ask you again, if you were to take a score, Morton against Maryville, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's going to be about a 2-3 score game, I think. You think
Maryville's going to
I think Maryville is going to do well. I mean, again, this is a team that last year won the sectional, made it all the way either to regionals or to semi-state. I can't remember exactly, but again, it's a team that for the past couple years they've been a very dominant team. I mean, again, they have a chance to make a deep run this year if this offense continues the momentum they've had all season.
All right, moving on to another Class 5A sectional. We have the Michigan City Wolves against the Valparaiso Vikings. That's going to be live here at the Athletic Performance Factory. Michigan City 6-3 against Valparaiso, who is 2-7, 2-5 in conference. A pretty big disparity in record there, but Valpo is traditionally a good program. They made state a couple of years ago. It's at Michigan City, which is going to be tough. Which Valpo's a good team. They're talented.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a talented team. I was able to watch their last game of the season. It's a very talented team. The big thing is they had the chance to make a lot of big plays. I mean, they've got some athletes on that team, but they are going against a Michigan City team that I was able to catch week one. And, I mean, that defense is lights out. When they're firing on all cylinders. I remember the game. It was a close game against Hanover Central going into half, I think 16-12, something like a one-score game going into half. Third quarter happens. They scored, I believe, 21-28 unanswered, 3 of them defensive touchdowns.
A volatile offense.
I mean, and their offense, too. They've got the leading receiver in the region. As far as passing yards, Tristan Hart is right there at second, right behind Michael Hill Jr.
So how many yards does he have on the year?
He has 2,000 on the season. So that just kind of puts into perspective of how potent of a passing offense that Maryville Pirates team has been. I mean, that's a 600-yard disparity. But again, Michigan City has done a really great job of running the ball, too, and keeping a balanced attack. I mean, Valpo kind of went through a very tough conference schedule. I mean, you
2-5 in conference.
I mean, you play Crown Point, you play Maryville, like two teams that are
Crown Point undefeated. Yeah.
Crown Point, who hasn't lost a game, I think, in 2-3 regular seasons.
Yeah.
Went to semi-state last year, and again has been a traditional, really good team in the region the past 3-4 years. I mean, it's hard to say because this is a Valpo team that has a lot of talent, and they had to play essentially one 6A team and a 5A team in their conference. But again, anything can happen. I mean, it is the playoffs, and you know how it is. There's always a Cinderella story at least once a year.
There's going to be at least one. It's kind of like a little March Madness-esque. There's going to be a team that you don't think of much in the regular season. They show up in the section and they move on. When you have a receiver that's gone for 2,000 yards on the year, I mean, at this point, you just double them, hope somebody else can beat you.
So correction on the receiving, Zaire McKinney is their leading receiver, and he has 1,000 yards on the season. The quarterback had 2,000, but
1,000 yards.
Still 50% of the receiving yards. And I mean, again, that's in a 9-game sample size as well. It's not, some states do 10, 9, 8 games, whatever. But 1,000 yards in 9 games is still, you're averaging over 100 yards
a game.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that point, it's hard because he's got some speed. So, try to double team him. I would say the best case scenario would be if you're going to do man coverage, make sure you have a safety dropping deep on that side just in case they try to go with a deep ball. But he's done really good run after the catch too. So, I mean, watch out for a quick, little pick route, having him open and then getting off to the races.
And even if you shut him down, you still got to worry about the run game, which is very good.
Yeah. I mean, their run game has been good, and they've done a good job of, having different running backs be able to come in. One of them is their star defensive end in Fields. He's been able to come in. He only had 3 carries in the game I caught, but had 15 yards on 3 carries. So, I mean,
5 yards carry.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things that they've done a really good job of just having a balanced attack.
So that'll be a good one. And then moving on to LaPorte Chesterton, the Slicers and the Trojans in Chesterton, the last 5A sectional game. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, so I was able to watch them play earlier in the season. I mean, again, Chesterton does a lot of motion, a lot of movement. Both teams are very run heavy overall. LaPorte has a guy in a Reed Raymond that's kind of a do-it-all guy on their team. And when I got to watch them play at Maryville, he punted the ball. He was on defense as a defensive end, almost had a sack. Was returning kicks, returning punts, starting running back. I mean, he is really a Swiss Army knife out there. Yeah, he's like Travis Hunter at Colorado last year, I mean, it's
receiver, DB. Yeah, that's a lot of conditioning going on.
Yeah, and I mean, they're both very run-heavy teams. Chesterton's got a really solid defense. Chesterton likes to do a lot of orbit, motion of the wide receiver or any kind of running back, tight end going around the quarterback in almost an orbit fashion. So it definitely helps with a little bit of confusion, opens up some screenplays there out of the motion as well.
So that'll be a good one. And then the battle of Lake Central versus Crown Point. Crown Point, again, we said undefeated, 9-0, 7-0 in conference. Lake Central, a bit of a down year. I believe they're 3-6. In Crown Point, I don't think anybody's going to beat the Bulldogs, especially this early.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, again, Crown Point's got a really solid team. I talked about it earlier in the season. It's hard to test them because against the good teams in the region, against Maryville, they still won by 2-3 scores. So, I mean, it's one of those things that it feels like once playoff times hit, they usually have a test around regional semi-state is when they get a true test. But Lake Central is also a team. They've got a really solid defense. Their run game, when it's hitting, it's hitting. I mean, I've seen them drive 99 yards down the field. And they like time of possession ball. They're going to run the ball. They'll mix in some passes there, throw in a play action or two. But if they can keep the ground control and keep that Crown Point offense off the field, I mean, anything can happen. And if the defense steps up like they did against Valpo a couple weeks ago, again, it's one of those things that Lake Central still has a chance. But again, Crown Point, it's always hard to tell because they're one of the most dominant teams in the region.
If you were to be Crown Point, you'd have to dominate time of possession. I mean, what's the game plan if you were to be such a dominant team like Crown Point?
Yeah, I mean, the game plan, when you're going against a team like Crown Point, obviously possession, but you also got to force turnovers out of that offense. Again, it's an offense that is able to throw the ball, able to run the ball. Defense is always solid. So, I mean, if you can get the run game going and keep the ball away from that offense, make them have to make big plays at quick times, can really help control the game. But also, if your offense goes out there and has 2, 3, 3 and outs, you're giving a Crown Point offense a chance to score 2, 3 times at least.
Which you don't want.
No. Yeah, because it can get out of hand very quick with that Crown Point team.
Right. So that'll be a good game there. And then another Class 6A sectional, the Penn Kingsmen versus the Portage Indians in Portage. I believe the last game of the night it is. Not really familiar with the Penn Kingsmen. Portage is a up and down team as well at home. What do you think?
I'm thinking Penn takes a win there. Again, Portage is a very well coached team. They've got some good players. I was able to watch them against Hobart this year, and in the first half, again, they were right there neck and neck with Hobart. It's just about consistency. Making sure that you're doing the things that you were doing in the first half really well and continuing that on into the second half. When you don't do that, games can get out of hand very quick, especially when you're playing a team like the Hobart Brickies, who are known for their consistency and a good team. So, I mean, Penn, again, I haven't seen anything from them this year. I haven't watched any of their games, but Penn is, again, one of those
Sorry,
teams.
Penn.
Penn is one of those 6A teams that's just, again, they're always in talks as one of the top teams in the area. I mean, again, I think it was Penn Crown Point last year in the semi-sectionals, so like the round before sectional finals. So, again, Penn usually fields a really good team, and again, Portage has a chance. They've got the athletes out there. They've got the offensive line, defensive line size to compete. It's just a matter of consistency.
Sounds like it's going to be a high-scoring game if you were to guess.
I could see it being a high-scoring game. I could also see it being a little bit of a lopsided game. Again, it's just about the consistency, and you're playing a team like Penn that's been a very dominant team for a couple of years at this point.
And that is just going to about wrap it up here for the RSN Tailgate Show. We'll be back with the RSN Zone here at the Santier Bake Studios Athletic Performance Factory. Graham Stickin here with Chris Figg. Tune in to RSN Zone. After the break, RSN, the only game in town.